that is what an exhaust looks like for an RX-PX when it gets shipped to your house. It's a huge box. So today is the day that I am installing it. I had a little sound clip I just filmed for you guys of its stock. I didn't run it for too long, but it's an example of its stock. And then I'm going to go get a hole saw right now so that I can drill the hole, and then we're going to start working on it. I only have like 3 hours to work on it, so I might not finish the whole thing today. I might finish it up tomorrow, but I'm going to try and we'll see what happens, and hopefully everything goes good. But here we go. So step one is to get that exhaust out of the back of the jet ski. So I have to take off the hose that connects it to the water box over here and then try to get that out. So this is going to be fun. So I got the hose off of the exhaust slash water box. It was the big hose running through there. It was kind of a pain in the ass because one of the clamps that was holding it on down there was faced the other way away from me, so it was kind of hard to get it out. But so there's the exhaust. Looks like there's more clamps down there to reach, so that'll be extra fun. But at least that one's faced towards me, so that'll make it easier. Alright, so the worst part so far has been getting this out of it. So this is what the original muffler looks like, and I could not for the life of me get it out of the back of the jet ski. I ended up taking off the bracket that holds the seat on because it was taking me so long to get it out. I even took off the supercharger piping to try to get it out, and that didn't do anything. So yeah, it's quite the job to get that out, but once that's done, it's not too bad after that. I was literally so nervous doing that, I was shaking. But there it is. Our hole is in there. Genuinely terrifying. Alright, so I've been having a lot of trouble with this. There's a ring that goes on the back of this that I cannot get to line up with the holes. And there it goes. I can't get it to line up with these holes. So I've been making the holes bigger to try to make it work, and we're still not quite there, but hopefully getting close. I've made 0 progress in 2 days, but I guess that's what projects are for, you know? So day 3 of this debacle that is my exhaust, and I finally got this in, and I got the cover for where the old exhaust used to come out of in. This was very hard to get in. I ended up having to put nuts on the back of these bolts rather than using this circle thing because I was not aware how perfectly level the drill had to be when you're screwing these pilot holes for these. So that ended up being a rather major issue, but I resolved that, and now I'm trying to get this coupler over this pipe. But like everything else with this kit, it's been very difficult to get anything to work properly. Just getting this coupler over is a project in itself, but we're working on it, and hopefully nearing the end of this. So here's the tip. When you get to this point, this clamp needs to go at least halfway on. I wasn't sure because on my free flow exhaust it didn't need to go on quite so much, but this one I keep putting it in and it keeps having to go farther and farther back. You have to go at least halfway down on that one. This one I went halfway with immediately because it was shorter and a lot easier to do. But yeah, halfway for sure on these. Alright, so there's stuff all over it, so it's probably going to rattle a little bit, but everything is hooked back up. The only last real tricky part was getting this pipe not to touch the intercooler pipe. I didn't want it to melt it, so I kind of had to position it as best I could. I think everything looks good. We're gonna fire her up and see how she sounds. Looks like everything held on decently well. Still kind of scary because there's just a huge hole in the back of it held on by some clamps. I'm gonna tug on it after and make sure. Hopefully it's all very tight. I think it is, but like I said, I had to kind of readjust it a bit to make sure it wasn't gonna touch that intercooler pipe, so it's not quite the angle I would prefer, but it seems like the safest angle for where things have to be. So hopefully it's no big deal. So it's Thursday night. I took the RXP out for a test drive after putting the thru-hull on it, and sure enough, it had a dribble of water coming in that I could not figure out how to fix. So I took everything back apart in it. Hold on, I'll show you guys. Literally everything is back out. The pipe, the seat mount, everything. And what I did was I took the stupid gasket that it came without. What I did is I took the stupid gasket that it came without right here, because it's barely sticky and was not sealing properly. And I used, I used this stuff. It's called Ultra Black. It's what they use to seal the jet skis from the factory. And I sealed behind it, I sealed in the bolt holes, I sealed absolutely everything. It's not as pretty as it was before, but it shouldn't leak now. What you do is you put it in, you give it an hour to set, and then you put the bolts in, and you crank them down, and then there should be a seal for everything. So, hopefully, now it won't dribble. It's 11:30. I have work tomorrow. I was supposed to go to the gym in the morning, but instead here I sit, and I have to put the whole jet ski back together again. But that's what I get for not fully understanding the project before I took it on. So, to show you the final result, everything is back together. Kind of showed you guys this before, but you can see in there the finished pipe. Mounted over the intercooler, tied everything back that could have been in the way. Supercharger piping's back on, all that. At the back, it's not as clean as it could be, but I'll make it cleaner later. I have the silicone all around it. I just want to make sure it gets a good seal before I trim it at all. Yeah, so fingers crossed this works out better than before. Otherwise, I am out of ideas. So knock on wood for me.